Royal Blood, How Did We Get So Dark? Man, that's really edgy. This is just a quick album review because really, there's not a lot to say about this album, really. Especially if you've listened to the first one. You listen to the first one, you've listened to this album. The cool thing about this group, though, it is just two guys. And one of them's a drummer and one of them is a bass player. And he somehow makes it sound like a guitar with some weird modifications to probably his pedal board and all this other, magical things that happen in the studio. I'd have to say this is like Royal Blood 2.0. I mean, I do feel like there's some better aspects with this, better production. I mean, you get a little bit of cleverness, but then you feel like you get kind of the same thing you got with the first album, and that's a little bit of a problem. Don't get me wrong, this album is headbanging as shit. But I like variety in my albums, and I feel like if you've listened to the first album, you've kind of heard this album, but I think people are still gonna enjoy this, and I like how they continue the style, but I just feel like it might get a little old if they do it a third time. I feel like this is fine, like I'm okay with this for now, but I feel like they gotta change it up a little bit. Do I regret buying this album? Absolutely not. Do I regret listening to it? Nope. I like it. I do like this album, but I feel like I'm getting the same thing I got with the other one, with how over the top the bass sounds and the drumming, and it's awesome. You want to just, bang your head to this album, and you get the same kind of lyrical content as you got in the first album. It's about mostly girls and their issues with them, or at least the lead singer's issues, which is fine. It's an easy topic. Yeah. This album doesn't really have much emotional depth except rage. It has a high focus on rage, which kind of like the first album. That's kind of what happened with that one too, and I like that. I just feel like there should be some time for slow down points, but it doesn't really slow down. It kind of gets exhausting, but it's nice that it's only like 10 tracks long, so there's that. The best thing about this album is the concept that they use only drum and bass, and that's the coolest thing about this album. And his voice is really cool too. I have to admit that. And I would enjoy going to a concert with these guys because I feel like they're gonna make an awesome mosh pity experience for you, and you're gonna be just raising your fists up the whole time, just shoving people and just having a killer time. And maybe that's the point of these songs, and I've heard they're awesome live, by the way. And really, I don't really have much to say about this album, sadly enough. I've listened to it plenty of times now, and it's just where do I go with this? Honestly, you're gonna enjoy this album if you enjoyed the first one, or maybe you don't even need to get this album because you have the first one, and either way, you're kind of winning, in my opinion. I mean, it's cool to know their song list, though, because, they change it up probably every concert or so. But overall, I really do enjoy this album. It just feels like the same product as the first album, and I've heard, some of these songs on this album are actually years old, which is kind of sad. I mean, that would have been cool to put them as bonus tracks, but you shouldn't really do that. But there's some good material on this album. All the songs are good. You get the same thing. It's kind of like listening to an AC/DC album. You kind of feel like you know what you're getting yourself into, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna still enjoy the shit out of it. I enjoy the shit out of it, but I see it as the same product. But overall, I would say this album's a 4 out of 5 because I do enjoy it a lot. It's gonna probably be on my playlist, at least a couple songs at a time, and yeah, it's good. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little quick. I just feel like this album didn't really have a lot to touch upon, and I feel like if people are gonna buy it, they're gonna buy it because they like the first album, and I think you would rightfully do so because it is good. It's just, you're getting the same thing, but if you don't buy it because it is the same thing, it's all understandable. Anyways, I hope you have a great one, and peace.